Fix errors, waste, and issues in a couple of clicks. Get alerted whenever you're off track. Sign up at trueclicks.com.
Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises to manage clients and projects with max efficiency, sharing Wix's SEO tech to help you drive growth.
Hi, thanks for having me. The first time I ever came to see a live music event, I was 16 or so, was on this stage. Madness were on here, so I'm about the same age as Soxy, which gives you an idea of how old I am. We're going to be talking about writing content, the search engines that humans can understand, and I'm going to start with a thought experiment. How would you sell electric guitars to beekeepers? I thought it's a good place to start. We'll get more practical later, but I thought it's a good place to start because I wanted to take two ideas which I didn't think were very close to each other. One of the reasons I thought they were not very close to each other is I asked Copilot to give me a picture of a beekeeper holding a guitar, and it came up with this. So I thought I was in the right place to start my presentation. Because people do weird things. They buy weird stuff. About a month ago, I was in Las Vegas and PubCon. I was in the Mandalay Hotel, and they've got a row of shops, and I saw Ron John's surf shop. Think about that. That's a surf shop in a desert. That's just not logical. Why do people do that? Why do people suddenly make a business doing that? And it's not as if we don't do it a lot. Diamonds are not actually particularly rare. In fact, we can manufacture better diamonds than De Beers can mine out of the mines. So they're not particularly valuable until I tell that to my wife. And I try and I find the true meaning of value. So we go on these stories, we go into these weird things, and we decide that certain things are valuable to us as groups. And with all those kind of weird ideas, and people making business out of Ron John's surf shop or Barbenheimer or these kind of things going on, it's not surprising that a lot of businesses go bust. It's probably more surprising that a lot of businesses survive. And if you're going to be an investor in those, then you use a thing called portfolio theory. You pretty much assume that of the 10 that you invest in, 5 are going to fail, 4 are going to survive, and 1 is going to thrive. It's called portfolio theory. It just makes an investor's life a bit easier. We'll come back to that a little bit later. But the point is that something weird is going wrong or on with the human race. That we develop stories and we develop into tribes that go off and do weird things. Why on earth do a bunch of people go and play Dungeons and Dragons and another group of people decide to climb a mountain? My sister is in a tribe that has decided to row the Atlantic in December. That's a weird tribe. Why do we do all of these things? Why do we make all these stories up? And why do we follow these stories? Even money is a story. It means nothing. We just invented it. And we can't live without the thing. How does this affect our idea of selling electric guitars to beekeepers? Well, it means that we need to understand the tribe of beekeepers before we can go anywhere. So Pascal talked a little bit about this, but if we want to get in the head of a beekeeper or in the head of any other human being, we need to understand a little bit about neural networks. Taken this open-sourced image off of Wikipedia, but essentially a neural network or a brain starts with a number of inputs. In humans, we've got touch, sight, hearing, etc. And then we've got actions that are the output layer. And the neurons and the synapses are the dots and the lines in between. But the hidden layer is really interesting. The hidden layer is what makes us beekeepers or magic players or surfers. And this is really interesting, I think, because if you imagine a baby's just got born, come out of the womb, they've only got those 5 senses. Think about it. Sight. They can see color. They can see shapes. But as they grow up, that develops into the ability to recognize people and to read and write comprehensively. What about hearing? When they come out, they can hear a few words, but as they grow up, they get to understand music, language, concepts like that. Touch. At the start, it's just hot and cold. But out of that comes the ability to make things with our hands. So these senses are what make us. But there's more than 5 senses in the world, aren't there? What about a sense of duty? Sense of love, hate, passion, sense of honor. These senses are what drives us in our decision-making process. And I think the interesting thing now is that we can all see that neural networks that are machines today, the SGEs of this world, they're really relying on this similar idea of this hidden layer generating new ideas and new concepts. And everything that we do in marketing is in that hidden layer. The power of emotions are the only thing that make decisions. It's why we buy. We buy on emotion, we don't buy on our logic, as Pascal said. So how can we use that to help us with our beekeeper problem? Well, did you know, according to NIMH.gov, National Institute of Mental Health, I think it is, that bees, and if you don't trust them, I understand that, David Attenborough has an Instagram video on it, so you can trust that instead. Bees have a slight positive charge on them. More interestingly, the top of a flower has a small negative charge on it. Oh my God, my positives and minuses mixed up. But the point is, bees actually are physically attracted to plants. That's kind of interesting. Something with electrons, music, guitars, electric guitars. Maybe we can use that somewhere in our thing. But it's not just that attraction, that physical attraction. It's that repetition. Once a bee has done it 2, 3, 4 times, then memory plays a huge role in habits forming and in the decision-making process. And it's the same with humans. Tribes, I believe, are really a portfolio theory for the human race. The reason we all do weird things and different things is because we need to survive as a species. Somebody needs to go and look after bees because somebody needs to play Magic the Gathering because half the world believes in God. Half the world doesn't. Half the world's wrong. But we have to have both those things because we need to progress as human race. And portfolio theory is us getting into tribes. It's us going off and doing our weird things. I have a weird thing. I'm very sad. I have watched The West Wing every night with my wife before going to bed for the last 20 years. All 7 series, back to back, 20 years, start again when we finish. I'm so sad that there's 20,000 people in a Facebook group with the same interests. That's a weird tribe, right? It's so sad that Joshua Malina, one of the actors, managed to do live podcasts for each episode of each of the 7 series. And I went to the Hammersmith Apollo with 3,500 other people just to watch one episode being shot. That's a weird tribe, right? And these tribes happen all the time. Okay, that's fine. My slides are not syncing, but there we go. So this is a Hungarian composer. She's doing Flight of the Bumblebee and another tribe. So they've got together as a concert, and then you've got again 4,000 or 5,000 people in the audience all working with each other. Oh, it's going to try and play a video. I'll get off of that. We don't want to do that. So music. That's where I was going. I got a little lost there with my buttons. Studies have shown the bees can detect air particles associated with sounds for frequencies of around about 500 hertz. That's interesting. Why is that interesting? Guitar can do that. A guitar can do that. So now, actually, as we've been through the presentation so far, we can have, and I'm not going to do the last bits of the dots, we have a huge amount of evidence that can help us with our plan to sell electric guitars to beekeepers. Because we've now found out that bees actually are involved with electrons, and there's things there, and they buzz around, and they like the music, and we've got scientific evidence to prove it from a government website. And if you don't believe that, we've got social trust from David Attenborough, and we understand that they love music, then they need to have the music. So surely beekeepers need to be playing electric guitars out in the fields with the bees, and they're going to get more honey. And the thing is, the beekeepers want to believe it as well. Because what can be more fun than playing guitar out in the field with the beekeepers, if you're a beekeeper, with the bees? So this is how you get a story to the end customer. You've got to find the tribe, understand the tribe, and make the tribe tick. Let's now take that and tailor it to your business, to any business. How can we take this idea? Because we don't really want to do this sort of experiment. We don't want to leap that far. What we want to do is to exploit the connections that resonate with your existing business. We don't want to jump from guitars to beekeepers. And in order to do that, I want to deep dive into entities. So creating the perfect article for machines and humans alike, for me, is a 5-step process. Step 1, we need to collect and cluster your site or your client's site's entities. We need to know all the things that, as Rin said, you are already an expertise in. Expert, EEAT. You can only be seen as EEAT based around the topics that you've already talked about. Secondly, we want to find close incremental ideas to that, things that are going to be not leaps of faith like guitar to beehive, but we can find things that are much closer to your existing expertise. Third, we need to collect the entities of your competitors and create a gap analysis of the things that we need to talk about. Then we can create some content plan for a human or for a ChatGPT to write about. And then it's important to create the human touch. So I'm going to go through 5 things in the next 7 minutes. Is that okay? It's got to be okay. You're all here now. So I'm going to keep on with the music theme. I'm going to use the Guitar Center as an example. Guitar Center is actually in the US. I tried to use Hobgoblin's website. Whoever's running Hobgoblin's website, they need to work on that website. It's something out of the Middle Ages. But then again, that suits the brand, really. So the Guitar Center is a large retailer in the US. Okay. So step number 1 for that, collect the entities that the Guitar Center are already talking about, the things that they're talking about on their website, the ideas. We need to know what an entity is. An entity is simply a topical concept. For me, it's a topical concept that has a hit with a Wikipedia article. That's the best way to think about it. Think about an entity as something that you'd see in an encyclopedia. So how do you do that? Well, you run a natural language processing algorithm over it. So you go and read that with a program. This one on the screen is IBM Watson. You can cut and paste data into IBM Watson's. There's also there's also Google has one. Google actually doesn't show an awful lot of Wikipedia URLs in its own one. Then TextRaiser is a well-known one. And of course, I work for InLinks, so I was going to show you that one. So you can use any of those to extract entities out of content. And now you know all the things that if you do over the whole website, you've got a pretty good idea of all the topics and how frequently you're talking about those topics. And you can tabulate the result, or you can put the result into a pretty wheel, whichever you want to do it. And then from there, you can have a look at what you've actually been talking about a lot. So in this example, it's taken the Guitar Center's website, it's kind of put some ideas out there, and we can see that in the cluster of people, the Guitar Center is talking about Eric Clapton, Leo, Jimi Hendrix, Neil Peart, who's a drummer, I don't understand, but there we go, Eddie Van Halen, etc. So there's an idea that maybe we can extrapolate from this idea. It seems that they're already experts in talking about how guitar players play. So maybe we can use that idea. Maybe there's something there. So now we have an idea of all the things that you're good at. We can then try and find incremental ideas. How do you do that? The way I do it is I throw it all into Google Suggest. Google Suggest is now going to come up with ideas that are around the topics that I'm already typing about. So I put all those topics back into Google Suggest, see what's spat out, throw away the ones that are semantically distant from my content, and keep the ones that are semantically close. So now I have a massive database of ideas which are coming out of the machine as to things that people are looking for. People also ask, is also good. If somebody could tell me that Mark Williams Cook, that I mentioned him, that'd be great. He's giving away gifts. So we do that on this, and we can say, right, okay, for example, Slash guitar lessons. So hold on here. We can talk about Slash. They've been talking about Jimi Hendrix. They've been talking about Eddie Van Halen. Slash is also something that people are looking out for. So we can find that, for example, and thousands of other ideas. So now we have ideas that are incrementally close. So now we need to write that content. But now we're writing something that is not going to be a guitar to a beekeeper. We're talking about Slash in a guitar shop. So now we want to collect competitors' entities. So we're going to say, right, okay, I want to write an article on playing guitar like Slash. And it can have a look at the websites. You can have a look at the websites that are already ranking for playing guitar like Slash. And you say, right, are they the good ones? Are they the wrong ones? Pro tip, you can throw one or two out and bring in a couple of new ideas that Google doesn't know about, mix things up a bit of variety to improve the trust in seed set. But you can then use that and the same IBM Watson or any other NLP API to then create a content plan, essentially, of the topics that you need to talk about if you're going to be writing about playing the guitar like Slash. So how do we do that? Well, we create this content plan here that sits there and takes all of the entities that all the competitors are talking about, tries to work out which ones are important in the introduction section, builds out a picture here of a blueprint of a solo guitar artist, etc., based on those topics and those ideas. Whichever technology you're going to use to do that, it's important to do that to cover all of the things that you didn't know you didn't know. And then if you want, you can get the machine to write it all for you as well. There's tools that do that for sure. But if you've broken down the content plan properly, you're going to get a lot better at it. You're going to write a much better content for SEO purposes that the machine will understand as well as the humans. But if you use the AI to do that, you have to keep the human touch. You have to keep the human touch. Otherwise, you're going to make some big mistakes. So, two ways in which you can keep the human touch. Firstly, you can think about the audience that you're writing for before you allow the AI to get anywhere near the thing. So if you're going to be writing about guitar slash playing guitar and how you play guitar, are you talking to Slash guitar enthusiasts or are you talking to professionals? It's different. You're going to write different content in that process. And just having a human in the loop making that decision actually takes you a long way from let's just recreate content around a keyword. You've got to create it for an audience. And then the last thing to do is don't let the thing go live just because it's AI-driven content, because so the way we do that is put a big grey bar over the system so that you can see the AI content. Change it, edit it, read it. Don't put it live as it is. So, 1 minute left. What have we learned? More importantly, what can we remember? Well, we've learned that people have weird tribes. We come up with stories like diamonds are expensive, diamonds are valuable. And the reason we come up with that is because of the way in which all of our brains work very, very differently. Same 5 inputs, very, very different outputs. I'm not so keen on diamonds. They cost me a lot of money. When babies come out and are born, they start to learn all these things, and they go off into different tribes, tribes like beekeepers. And once you go into those tribes, it's very hard for you to change. You've become a beekeeper. I've become an SEO. There's not much point in me doing anything else now. I'm an SEO. But you can use that by understanding those tribes, and you can create stories that will help you sell your product into those tribes. But you have to understand and play to the tribe's tune first, to their story. Tribes are a portfolio theory for the human race. They're what makes us different. It's what makes us tick. It's what makes us survive. So when we're writing about these kind of people, we want to use NLP algorithms to try and extract entities around context and content that we're already good about, so we can write things that are incrementally close to what we're already talking about. And from there, we can create great content plans, but we have to have a human in the loop. If you want to play with Inlinks, it's free, or go and see us on the stand. I think that's me today. Thank you very much for your time.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.
Demand Sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.